Good morning, Rebecca Vigas, the writer whisperer, here from a partly cloudy 37-degree South Central Kentucky. I understand we are supposed to get up to 60 degrees today, so that will be a mild heat wave. Today I'm using If You Can Talk, You Can Write by Joel Saltzman. We're looking at lesson number 5 in this, called Talking on Paper. I attempted this yesterday morning, and about halfway through, there was an explosion and I was without power. So I'm going to do it right from the top. I had an issue as I pushed the live button, the whole thing disappeared. So the prompt will be written in the comments as I give it to you. Have you ever watched a stutterer get hung up on a word? Desperate not to make a mistake, he ties his tongue up in knots. It's as if he's saying to himself, I'd like to get this word out, but what if it's the wrong word? Maybe I shouldn't risk it. This is what happens when you try to make it perfect at the same time you're trying to get it down on paper. You cancel out every thought, wind up editing yourself into oblivion. There you are, stuttering on paper and making yourself miserable in the process. Pretty soon, you just can't take it anymore. And that's when you give up and make a beeline for the refrigerator and you're back to procrastinating. Is this a surprise to anyone? Because this is how it feels. So, how do you write something without trying to make it perfect and editing yourself to death? Rule number 1. And this doesn't come from Joel. This is Vigas rule number 1. When you are writing, you just write. If you're handwriting and you make a mistake, cross it out and keep going. Nobody's going to read it. If you are typing and make a mistake, keep typing. You can go back and fix it later. Rule number 1, when you are writing, you are just writing. No editing, no fixing, nothing. You don't write at all. You start talking on paper. Instead of you're telling yourself, I want to make it perfect, but I don't know how to make it perfect, tell yourself, I'm going to talk on paper. And the more I talk, the better chance I have of finding something good. Then I can go back and edit it later after I've said it. Think of it this way. When you're talking with someone, do you stop every couple words and say, no, that's not it? Of course not. You keep going, trying this and that, trying to figure out what the hell you're trying to say in the first place. You're certainly not looking for perfection when you talk, just a little progress. In contrast, saying to yourself, now I'm going to write something, is a dangerous state of mind, making you tense, anxious, and ready to quit before you get started. Yet saying, now I'm going to talk about something, is a very natural thing to do. And it's a lot less threatening. True story. Years ago, long before I thought about writing this book, someone at a party asked me, why can't I write? This was not an easy question, and I soon found myself going on and on about not much at all. Finally, after 15 minutes of blathering like an idiot, I heard myself say, look, if you can talk, you can write. I was stunned. I had never heard these words before, and I immediately wrote them down. Having gone blah, blah, blah for a quarter of an hour, I suddenly said something interesting. That said, let me introduce you to the most empowering lesson that this little book has to offer. Blah, 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 gold. In other words, the more you talk on paper without stopping to judge or criticize yourself, the better your chances of stumbling onto something good. Then you can go back and polish or edit it later after you've found it. You're like a prospector panning for gold, diligent and methodical, sifting perhaps through many pans of sand before you find your speck of gold. Meanwhile, you must not grow anxious or lose your patience yelling, "Sand, sand, I can't stand any more of this lousy sand." Instead, learn to expect the sand, lots of it. That's just how it goes. Sand, sand, something worth keeping. It might take me 10 pages of nothing, of terrible writing, and then I get a line and I think, that's what I mean. What you're doing is hunting for what you mean, what you're trying to say. You don't know when you start. Anne Sexton. Okay, you have a free writing exercise. It's called Talking on Paper. This is the prompt, but there's more to this chapter after the prompt. For the next 2 minutes, start talking on paper. Take out your paper, and for 2 minutes, you're going to talk. Let me type this into the comments so that you have it for reference. I can get to the comments. Take 2 minutes and talk on paper. Whatever's in your head, write it down. It does not have to be brilliant, clever, or even make sense. This sounds a little bit familiar, except that I asked you to do it on 3 pages. Your job is to simply keep talking on paper, having the freedom to go blah, 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 with no expectations for the final result. That's basically the prompt. It's like in a Ouija board or analysis. Just keep talking. It will take you somewhere. For example, boy, it's hot here. Stuffy, too. Very stuffy. Stuffy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what the Beatles would say when they couldn't think of anything. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's me. Nothing to say, but it's okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She loves me not. She gives me knots in my stomach when I see her, when I don't see her. You see, we all see the truth of it. I love her and she don't care. No, that's not just a line from the song. She does care, and I do too. I do. We're engaged now. Pretty soon I'll be saying I do. Then again, you might end up with something that just seems to ramble on and makes no sense. That's okay. Your only goal is to get your hand moving as quickly as possible and keep throwing words on the page, no matter what. Remember, don't think of it as writing. Think of it as talking on paper. We'll worry about writing later. One must sometimes act quickly and decidedly, be so absorbed in that in a short time, be so absorbed in it that in a short time something is brought onto the paper that was not there before, so that afterward one hardly knows it has been hammered off. Vincent van Gogh. Never correct or rewrite until the whole thing is done. Rewrite in the process Rewrite in the process is usually found to be an excuse for not going on. John Steinbeck. Now, for the next 2 minutes, and if we were actually doing this as a class, we would do this. Stop reading and start talking on paper. There's a exercise feedback with a student teacher conference. These are the questions I would ask you after your 2-minute write, after you've had a chance to read what you wrote, not correct it. You're writing and reading. You're not correcting a thing. Did you notice that your level of anxiety was fairly high before you started, but that it decreased as you were writing? Yes, so. Like I said, it's easier to write than not write. But it's just an exercise. How's it going to help me with writing? It got you writing, didn't it? But did I really learn a skill? Something I can apply to regular writing? Take a look at what you've written. Do you have a line or thought on the page you might not have known was in your head? Maybe. And did the exercise get you writing about something even though you didn't think you had anything to write about? Something you could go back and develop more fully? But what if I haven't discovered something new? Doesn't this mean I've failed? It means you've only been at it 2 minutes so far. Give yourself a break for a change. I suggest morning pages. 3 notebook or journal size pages, handwritten, front and back. Dump everything that's in your brain. Things you don't even know are in your brain are in your brain. Give it a chance. Explaining his work process, artist Paul Klee wrote that he takes a line on a walk, moving freely without a goal. A walk for walk's sake. Think about what happens when you take a dog for a walk. Are you really in control? Do you plan it out step by step? Or Does it soon become some kind of collaboration effort, a give and take between the two of you? Are you walking your dog or is your dog walking you? Take a line on a walk. See where it leads you. If you're lucky, it may develop a mind of its own. That's what all this morning pages is about. It's getting you to dump your thoughts onto the paper without worrying about, is this the right word? Is this the wrong word? Did I spell it right? Did I spell it wrong? Scratch things out. That's okay. And then move on. But keep the pen or pencil on the paper and moving all the time. Even if you have to write blah, 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 until your brain kicks in again. Okay, I will also put where you can find me in the comments because, like I said, everything got wiped out for some reason. I have an aspiring writers group. It's open to the public. Feel free to drop in. It's on Facebook. Also on Facebook, I have Rebecca Vigas, the Writer Whisperer. Yeah, I can spell today. Um, you'll see these recordings there. You'll see upcoming events I have on book signings, speaking engagements. Um, that's where the first place my coaching courses will appear when my writing book is finished. It's always a good place. If you want to see what I've done, see my blog, you would go to www.rebeccavigas.com. Even spell my name today. That is my website. Go explore, have fun. And then if you need anything, you have a question, you want me to read something, preferably not a full length novel, but a start or something you're having trouble with, then it's Rebecca Vigas at gmail.com. You can find me in all of those places, not just here every morning at 10. I will be here tomorrow at 10, and I will be here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week at 10. And then you're not going to see me for a while. Probably not before the 20th. And then I won't guarantee it will be every day as I will be in Michigan and I don't know what my schedule is going to look like as I am with family and friends for the holidays. I will be back regularly by the 28th of December. And we'll continue on from there. But I will see you tomorrow morning. Have a wonderful day.